Lesson 5. How is urban planning improving life in Bangladesh? Planning is a crucial step in many aspects of life. Without planning, many humans venture, for example, group events such as general assemblies or parties will ultimately fail. This step is important to keep things organised and is generally perceived to be positive. Dhaka is one of the cities of the world which is known for its immense population density and widespread poverty amongst its citizens, many of whom make the move from rural areas with hopes that they will find better lives in the city of Dhaka. Unfortunately, not many end up finding a well-paid job to meet their basic daily needs. These people make up the urban poor population of Dhaka. Urban planning, on the other hand, is one of solutions implemented by government officials of the city of Dhaka in order to find means to improve the quality of life of the urban poor in Dhaka and to improve the multi-aspect conditions of the city as a whole. The history of urban planning in Dhaka and Bangladesh as a whole. Urban planning agencies in Bangladesh as a whole began sprouting in the 1950s, with their early beginnings being under the Construction and Building Department of the Ministry of Public Works. Under this department, major contributions included the establishment of the Azimpur and Motijihil government colony, Tejagon industrial area and the Motijihil commercial area. From 1959 to 1961, master plans for the cities of Dhaka, Chittagong and Khulna were already drafted, and this included the division of city into land use zones, interconnected by a series of road networks and other line services, and the reservation and designation of vacant areas of land as sites where important public facilities such as buildings, sewage treatment plants, water treatment plants, fire stations, recreational and open spaces were to be put up. Independence in 1971 enhanced urbanisation in Bangladesh. Dhaka, being the largest city and having most amenities, received a large share of this growth. The driving factors which made rural to urban migration strong were surplus labour in agriculture, globalisation, drought, the systematic failure of rural agriculture, and perceived opportunity in the city. With the increase in population size, the highlands towards the north of Dhaka came to be inhabited. The intervening ditches, swamps and marshes were filled up, despite not being part of the initial urban planning scheme. But as the need for habitable land became more dire than ever, private initiatives by citizens eventually played a role in the process. The then Planning and Development Authority, DIT, the Dhaka Improvement Trust, selected the highlands as on the Dhaka-Tongi axis as sites for the residential projects. The city of Dhaka unfortunately did not experience any serious effort to reclaim land under a well-planned scheme to give the city homogeneous and sustainable development. Until 1990, the main city was sandwiched between the rivers of Balu and Turag in the east and west to the area beyond these limits, being low, swampy and flood-affected. But with fast and continuous population growth and upon the initiative of private developers, the low-lying areas were filled in with the land elevated and eventually different housing schemes began to be offered. At present, urban planning is spearheaded by the Dhaka North City Corporation, the DNCC, Urban Planning Department. As per the Local Government City Corporation Act of 2009, DNCC is able to perform various activities that are related to town planning, similar to departments established in the earlier years of Dhaka as a city. Urban planning on poverty. A larger urban population often, unfortunately, results in higher rates of poverty. A huge number of poor people squatting in slums is one negative effect of urbanisation. Measures to alleviate the problem of poverty, however, are being implemented, despite the difficulty in doing so. Dhaka is the focus of most of the country's political, administrative, economic and social tensions. Dhaka's primacy is still on the rise, both in terms of population and in terms of function. It is the most centrally located and most accessible city in the country. With a large national population, 140 million, still growing rapidly in Bangladesh and still predominantly rural, the population pressure on the primary city remains very high and appears likely to continue. Many of the steps initiated by individuals to integrate the alleviation of poverty currently remain as proposals and mere theories. However, points that are currently being worked on or improved include the implementation policies to encourage growth through diversifying manufacturing beyond the RMG sector, investing in infrastructure with the migration and expansion of certain industries to neighbouring cities, improving the skills of workers, increasing access to credit, and expanding access to childcare programs. The improvement of housing conditions for the urban poor is also part of urban development. Recognising a number of basic policy changes are necessary, major reforms are greatly required in policy and institutional framework. Some of the proposed changes will take a relatively large amount of time to be implemented, but would eventually result in a more effective and enabling policy environment, ultimately contributing to improvements in housing conditions for the urban poor. Among these are implementing the national housing policy, strengthening public institutions to implement the national housing policy, developing mechanisms for better accountability for land use and better coordination of services in the city, promoting coordination between DCC, RAJ UK, the Planning Authority, line ministries and utility agencies in urban projects in Dhaka, and strengthening the performance of RAJ UK or the Ranjani Unayan Katapataka. In conclusion, it is still difficult to observe the desired positive effects of urban planning in the city of Dhaka, especially those plans and schemes that were specifically created in order to alleviate the conditions of citizens of Dhaka, who are currently living in a state of poverty. However, the future does not seem so dim, as there are already many plans that are laid out by people who have done intensive research for the improvement of living conditions of the poor in the city.